This week on the High Limit Room, we get a chance to catch up with series co-founder Kyle Larson. We talk about the Knoxville 360 and the 410 Nationals and dissect the recent news with Kasey Kahne Racing. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the High Limit Room. I am Chase Rodman, the announcer for Kubota High Limit Racing, coming to you from the campgrounds at the Knoxville Raceway, preparing for a big week of sprint car racing. First off on the show today, we would like to talk about what has happened so far at the sprint car capital of the world as the 360 Knoxville Nationals wrapped up on Saturday night. And it was high roller Rico Abreu getting the win on Friday, the prelim night win, and of course his first career Knoxville 360 Nationals victory. Those were his fourth and fifth overall wins of the 2025 season at that racetrack. So 5 wins at Knoxville Raceway this year for Rico is pretty impressive considering he is a full-time driver with Kubota High Limit Racing. Rico would lead nearly every lap of that main event. Kyle Larson would get in there and lead a couple of laps at the midpoint of the race. But it was Rico taking advantage of a late restart to get back by Kyle and take down a $34,000 payday. Nice job to Rico and his whole race team over there for that win. Also did want to give a shout out to Austin DeCarl. He got an emotional Thursday night prelim night win at Knoxville Raceway as well during the 360 Nationals. So nice job to the big unit. He ended up with a top 10 finish during the finale of the 360 Nationals on Saturday. And then on Sunday, it was former high roller James McFadden who was able to win the first 410 race of the week here at Knoxville. He got the job done at the Capitani Classic over a staggering field of 75 cars in the pit area. An absolutely incredible field of racers. And McFadden was able to take down the win, leading every single lap of that one. But I did want to give a big shout out to High Limit Racing Rookie of the Year contender Dason Persley, who ended up second in that feature event. And it just so happened to be his best finish of the year in the 410 with the wing on top of the car, obviously. Persley, full-time high limit driver, his best finish of the year was a top 5 run earlier this year at the Florence Speedway. But he ends up with a second at Knoxville during the Capitani Classic. As we mentioned, a 75-car field, so that is going to be a huge confidence booster for the young driver out of Oklahoma. And did want to talk about Brian Brown as well. He rounded out the podium on Sunday night over at the Capitani Classic. So good stuff from Knoxville so far, and we've still got a lot of racing to get to, of course, with the Wednesday, Thursday prelims, the Friday night Hard Knocks, and the finale for $195,000 to win at the Knoxville Nationals. Let us know who you think could win the Knoxville Nationals down in the comment section below if you're watching on YouTube here on the High Limit Room. Now, let's transition into some off-track drama here as well. It was announced on Saturday night during the Knoxville 360 Nationals that Kasey Kahne was going to be foregoing his commitment to the High Limit Racing Tour effective immediately in order to focus on the number 49 car with driver Brad Sweet. It all kind of stemmed from Brad Sweet on his prelim night at the 360 Nationals. The car did not meet the minimum weight requirement after qualifying. And so with that, there was an announcement made that all of the current crew members on the 49 team were going to be relieved from their duties. So the race day crew that was with the Napa Auto Parts team no longer will be with the team for the rest of the year. And so brand new crew chief to start the year, Ty Wolfgang, has been relieved from his duties. He posted to social media that he has left the team now and is looking for other opportunities. And it does sound like that Ty Wolfgang is helping out Tanner Holmes now for the rest of the week at the Knoxville Nationals. So we'll see if that combination continues out there to the West Coast swing. The other team members, Zane Jackson and Cole Newhalfen, also not involved with the crew any longer. So with that being said, that means that the entire number 9 operation that Kasey Kahne was working with will now go over to the number 49 car. Andrew Bowman will be the new crew chief for Brad Sweet, and he'll be assisted by Tate Williamson and Kyler Kirkfleet, as well as Kasey Kahne. He will be helping out that team as well. So Kasey Kahne no longer on the High Limit Tour. Brad Sweet and now has the entire KKR number 9 team on his 49 operation. As if the High Limit Racing Championship did not have enough twists and turns already, we now have this into the fold as well. We already know about the injuries for Reitzel and Courtney. Selzy filling in for Courtney. We don't know the status on Reitzel as of right now as far as his West Coast swing goes, but you throw in this drama now with the 49 team, and it's just going to make things even more interesting with High Limit Racing gets back to action at the Tulare Thunderbolt Raceway in California on August 15th. That is the next series race. And then we head up the road on August 16th to the Placerville Speedway. Now let's jump into our next segment of today's show and catch up with High Limit Racing co-founder Kyle Larson as he joins the High Limit Room for the first time in a while to discuss the Knoxville Nationals, he and David Gravel's run in that Eldora Speedway, and several other sprint car racing topics. All right, we are now joined here by Kyle Larson, and maybe to some people, more importantly, we were joined by Tony Laporta as well, the pit reporter for High Limit Racing, of course. He had to change his camera around. He had some flowers in the background, and it didn't look very manly, so he had to change up his camera angle here. But Kyle, thanks for jumping on here. We just want to kind of talk to you about the mid portion of the season here with High Limit Racing so far, and get your thoughts on what's been going on here. Obviously, a very good points battle taking place at the top. The first 5 guys separated by 84, 85 points. We've had some really good racing so far this year. Some comers and goers. Some of these rookies have been showing some speed as well. What have your thoughts been so far in the first 26 races of the 2025 season with High Limit?
I feel like it's been super competitive. Unfortunately here lately with the injuries, you don't know how it's going to look going forward, but I feel like it's been, like I said, very competitive. Aaron Reitzel has been not a surprise by any means, but I feel like he's been, the fastest team kind of to this point all year. Rico's been really good as well. And then Brad's been consistent as always, but, leaving the door open for others. And, Tyler Courtney, he's also consistent. So, Tanner Thorson, I feel like has been, to me, the biggest surprise of the year. He's been really, really fast. If he could just, get his qualifying stuff better, I think he could, click off some wins here soon. So, the points have been tight. It's been, great racing on the track and great crowds too. So it's been fun.
Kyle, you bring up a bunch of great storylines right there. Yeah, I mean, Tanner Thorson in the 88 has been knocking down really good results. Reitzel shows up and has crazy good speed. But you talked about Rico Abreu, and you and him have a really close personal relationship. And this was the very first thing I said at High Limit race number 1 last year. My pre-race hit was about Rico Abreu and Brett Marks signing up to race a full tour for the first time for Brent in several years since the World of Outlaws. For Rico, the first time ever. He has never committed to a full season championship in sprint car racing. His only full tours have ever been, I think, with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series when he was doing that a couple of years ago. So what about High Limit? And I don't know how involved you were in the discussions. Brad handles so much of the business side of this deal. But for Rico, a guy that's always just picked and chose and gone to the biggest events he can find, for him to sign up and commit to not just 1, but now 2 years with a national tour, what do you think that says about High Limit Racing and Rico specifically changing his career path to chase a championship?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was massive for us to get a great team, great driver, a big personality like that, to follow our tour was huge. So, we were really appreciative of that. I think more than anything, though, I think, Rico and his team and family, believed in Brad and I's vision, of High Limit and where we kind of, hope to take the sport in the future. So, it's been, and not just him, I think everybody who's following our circuit has got the same beliefs. So, we're very fortunate to have a great, lineup of teams and young, exciting race car drivers, established race car drivers. We have a great variety of teams. So, Rico, he's just, he's the biggest, in the sport right now. I feel like, you look at his social platform, and then, the results that he also gets on the racetrack is amazing too. So, he's blowing up here lately. It's cool to see.
Yeah, Rico leading the series with 6 wins on the year, 29 points out of the championship lead as we speak right now. Kyle, a few weeks ago, I forgot what today is, July 30th, so maybe like a week and a half ago or so, High Limit Racing was on national television, of course, at Fox Sports 1, and I was wanting to get your thoughts about that. Obviously, you won the race, but then I'm sure you probably heard from some, guys in the industry, whether that's NASCAR or the sprint car side of things as well. But what was the reaction, that you saw from fans and maybe drivers and other competitors and things like that? Because, from what I saw on social media and whatnot, it was crazy to see just the amount of people saying, man, this is my first time ever watching a sprint car race. Like, this is crazy stuff, So what did you see out of that?
Well, yeah, it was great to have, sprint car racing, high limit racing be on FS1 live. I think that's also very important. A live event telecasted was great. So the relationship with Flo and Fox and all that is awesome to have. And then, like you mentioned, the feedback was great. The viewership was awesome. All of that. So, I think the event too, the race had a little bit of everything, great racing, the thrill, unfortunately drivers getting hurt, but, sometimes I think not that fans are into that, but I think it shows the grittiness of sprint car drivers and how, it takes a certain breed of driver to drive a sprint car. So, and yeah, I mean, being at a great facility like Eldora, established, facility, one that all race fans have heard of, whether you follow sprint car racing or not, was good. And yeah, it was great to win it. Obviously, I'm selfish and like that I won, but it would have been awesome too if, anybody else won besides me. But, overall, I was pleased with how the event went. From what I had read too, it seems like fans really love Chase Robin and Tony Laporta. You guys did a great job, as you always do, but I think really describing what high limit is, explaining some of the drivers' stories and where they're at in their careers and personal lives was great. So, in just a 2-hour window, I felt like we, you guys educated the fan base a lot.
Well, I mean, that's obviously high praise, Kyle. So I think, speaking for Chase, I think we both really appreciate that. I haven't been able to bring myself to watch the replay of it yet, just because I hate looking at myself on television screens. That's what happens when you have a head shaped the way mine is. I wanted to say that I agree with you 100%. And it's such a thin line, right? When you say what you said, and I'm going to say what I'm going to say, which is, yes, it's obviously terrible that Tyler Courtney, and any drivers got hurt. Buddy got banged up pretty bad in that wreck. Guys got hurt all week at Eldora, and you never ever want that. But when you have that opportunity to showcase the sport on a unique stage with live national television during the middle of the week like we did, you never want wrecks, but you need examples to show, like you said so well, the grittiness, the unique nature, the different breed of race car driver that it takes to strap into a 410 wing sprint car. I thought it was incredible, and I think something a lot of people don't know about that production was that was a normal FloRacing broadcast. That was literally just picked up and aired on FS1. High Limit staff ran that race. FloRacing produced that broadcast, and all FS1 did was flip a switch, and Flo was going out to the world on FS1.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, no, I think, it turned out great. I had people texting me, a lot of people after the race, and I even had Rick Hendrick watching, and they all complimented the event and the broadcast and all that. So, and yeah, like you mentioned, I hope fans realize now that was, just a Flo broadcast, and I think it, showcases what, Flo is able to produce for such a reasonable price too on their platform. So, I hope to see our fan base, attendance at the track, attendance, on whatever live stream you want to watch, dirt racing on, continue to grow. So yeah, it was a big week for sprint car racing, both good and bad. With great racing and whatnot and storylines and drama, but, your drivers getting injured, all that. So you got it. It was a pretty chaotic week for sure.
Now, to kind of put a bow tie on that subject, the numbers came out as far as the viewership goes. They had, I think it was Fox plus Flo. I want to say the number was about 387,000 viewers. And what I found pretty interesting, obviously that's a very good number, high limit promoted as best we could. What was crazy is, we got that amount of viewers and Fox Sports. I didn't see anything on their social platforms, but still to get 387,000 viewers and then to be ranked. I mean, really, we had half the viewership of IndyCar for their race that weekend. I mean, less than that for the NHRA, which those are two series that are on TV every single weekend. I would say IndyCar is probably the second most popular form of motorsport in America behind NASCAR. For High Limit in its first race with, not a ton of marketing behind it, on TV for the first time in 5 years of sprint car racing, I felt like that was a really, really good number. And maybe there is a potential in the coming years for sprint car racing to maybe move into that second most popular form of motorsport. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all believe that for sure. I think that's what we all have been striving for a long time. And, I think we have great momentum as a sport right now to do that. So, it's a sport that I love a lot and I have a lot of passion for. And, Brad as well, and he works tirelessly on this to try and just keep advancing it and keep moving it forward. And, I feel like we've been able as a series to do a lot in a short amount of time. And, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the people and the staff that we have. And we all have that same vision and passion for it and want to see the best, for the sport. So, Eldora was just another step forward, and, we look forward to more events and more moments to try getting it to where we want to be.
Now, when you move on from Joker's Jackpot and Live on FS1 and all that excitement that surrounded our 2 nights at Eldora, there were 2 more nights. Obviously, the Kings Royal, the Outlaws had their portion of the weekend, and 24 hours and some change removed from your feature win on Thursday, Kyle. A little bit of a dust-up, a brouhaha, if you have it, occurs on track after the checkered flag. Maybe David didn't see it. You and him get together on Friday night after the night before feature wraps up. And then, everything happens after that. There's some words after the during the post-race interviews are said. I think you were quoted later that week at a NASCAR event by just saying, hey, David and I are friends. It was hard racing. I want to know, what is the interpersonal communication like away from the Dirt Vision cameras, away from the microphones, you and Gravel, right? Did you guys have an opportunity to speak one-on-one? Is it text messages? What about that whole interaction behind the scenes are you willing to let us in on? Because that's what I think so many people are interested in.
Yeah, no, it was an exciting, last few laps of that race and an exciting post race, for sure too. But, it was, David and I, we got to talk, just him and I in the Outlaw trailer, which was good. It was nice that, I felt like Carlton and everybody with the Outlaws handled that really well. We just kind of sat in there and talked and, got to, explain a little bit of the why, I guess. I feel like I, race him hard, whatever you want to call it. It's, and again, as I told David, I got nothing against him, no hard feelings his way at all. But, there's just been some things said and some actions, made over the last couple of years that I don't quite agree with. So it's just kind of racing, like I said. But, I look forward to, being here in Knoxville the next couple of weeks. And I'm sure, you run into everybody here. Yeah. Not figuratively, but you're hanging out. So, I don't plan on being any different with David. Like I said, I like David a lot. We've been on vacations together. I've golfed and, near where he lives in Florida and we always catch up and hang out. So again, nothing against David at all, but, just some things kind of behind the scenes.
I think my favorite part about the whole night, obviously it was just incredible television the whole way through, but my favorite thing was the group chat after, and you said that you had to re-download Twitter to get get a post going there. And obviously Gravel quote tweeted it, and you said that he was, getting ready to sign his 2026 high limit contract, which was hilarious. And then of course, the t-shirt comes out with the, part-time problem, or what, part-time, what was it? Full-time problem?
Part-time effort, full-time problem.
Yep. That was great. The t-shirt, the tweet, that was all fantastic. And what was even better, the cherry on top was, the proceeds of the t-shirt going to, some of the injured drivers as well, which was cool. But, I don't even know what else to say, but like what came after the tweet and all that stuff was just incredible. And a lot of people have said it. It seems like something that sprint car racing, I don't know if it needed it, maybe it did, but it just adds to the already crazy landscape that we're in right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do think it's great. You look at any sport really, and I would say sport is built on competition and rivalry. And, especially when it's two top teams or two top players. And for our case in sprint car racing, I would put David and I first and second. You guys can argue the order of that. But I would say we've been consistently the two kind of best drivers here over the course of the last, 5 years. So yeah, fans kind of enjoy the drama. I felt like I teed up David perfectly in that tweet to play along, but I think he was still in his feelings a little bit and too sensitive. But I think he's done a good job playing the role of the villain here lately. I mean, obviously the crowds have been booing him everywhere he goes. I even got a lot of boos, at Eldora too. But no, I think it's good. Fans get into it. I think that's why you look at the Pennsylvania Posse versus the Outlaws. Like it's a big deal. And I think High Limit Outlaws is getting that way. And then, David and I are kind of an extension of that. So, it's great. I think it's awesome. I would say it's genuine too. Although, I do consider David a friend. I do think it's a genuine, competitive rivalry. Like I want to beat him more than anybody every weekend because he is, considered one of the best out there. And I think he probably looks at me as being, when I show up, the one guy that he would like to beat more than anybody else. So, I think, even after the Eldora stuff, the teams and all that, we probably all want to beat each other really bad. Maybe Cody, more literally than anybody, but, it's fun. It's all good.
Obviously, going into Knoxville, the pressure is ratcheted up even more. And, I don't know. We don't get this chance to talk with you on the show as often as like Dylan did a couple of years ago when you and Brad and him would always sit down and talk. So I'm just going to kind of throw you a big one here and, you can either answer it or, shrug it off and say pass if you don't want to get into it. But I'm so interested in the dynamic, Kyle, between you and Brad and High Limit Racing, right? And the brainchild that it is between you guys. And I was there in the media center in 2022, whatever it was, I think, when you guys announced, the creation of the series, and it was going to be a limited midweek deal. I just want to know, and I'm not asking for, it was only my idea, it was only Brad's idea, but what do you remember about those early days when you and Brad began to realize, hey, this was something that could even happen? Not even how are we going to do it or when are we going to do it, but I guess how long has High Limit Racing been brewing between you and Brad, if you can even remember?
I would say, let's see, when did we run at Lincoln? 22 or 3? 23.
Or no, 22 was that first
okay.
High Limit Racing event ever was Lincoln Park in Putnamville in 22.
Okay. Yeah, sometime before then, maybe I'm guessing 2020, it had to be 2021 or so, maybe sometime 22. Brad was always kind of kicking around the idea of I don't know, I guess races or whatever. Basically what the midweek thing was to give me more opportunity to race and all that and whatnot. And, that's kind of where it started. And that was fun. I think we had a good thing going then. But, the Outlaws didn't really appreciate it because, we were kind of piggybacking off of their events and, they wouldn't allow their drivers to run with us and all that. And so they were like, well, the opportunity came up with, Tony had approached us about buying the All-Stars. And we just thought it was a great opportunity to kind of take it to the next step or next level and, run nationally, kind of focus on what we thought is, drivers, that could be better for sprint car racing and moving forward. Cause we both have a lot of experience, both on obviously the driving side of it, but Brad even being pretty, highly involved at KKR, on the team aspect of it. So yeah, we just had a lot of our own ideas and we have the relationship with FloRacing. So, it was just kind of a no-brainer for us to pull the trigger and start another national series. And yeah, it's gone great. So could not do it though without all of you guys, Kendra, JP, B-Walk, Mike Hess, like everybody, all the track, series workers, everybody, it takes a team and a team that's just as dedicated or more dedicated than we are a lot of times. So, and like I mentioned earlier, Brad eats, sleeps, breathes high limit, and it's awesome. He's a great businessman. He's got a lot of big ideas for a little guy, and I love hearing his ideas, and I would say more often than not, like he's usually right about what he's saying. So, I'm so busy with everything I have going with NASCAR and whatnot that I don't get too involved in like the day-to-day things, but I'm always in the mix of, what's going on and helping with, the decisions and whatnot. But, the high limit team does a great job.
Yeah, Brad does have some good ideas, some big ideas. Whenever I have big ideas, Mike Hess just yells at me and tells me to get out of the trailer. But maybe someday he'll start to listen. But switching gears a little bit, you are actually at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame right now. You've won the last two, obviously. But who do you think right now could be your biggest challenger to stop the three-peat from happening? Three in a row. A lot of people are saying David Gravel. A lot of people are saying Rico. You and those two guys seem to be a lot of people's favorites. Is there anybody else outside of those two that you're looking at as maybe somebody that can get up there and challenge for the 50 lapper?
Well, I think those are the two, top guys here. I mean, they've won anytime they've been here. They either one of them have won. So yeah, I would say Rico probably has a slight edge over David just for the amount of races that he's ran here, and they've just really been getting their package dialed in. David's good. Carson's always going to be good. You can never count out Donnie. I don't care if he's been having a terrible season or not. Like, he's so good and he can turn it on here at any point. So I never count out Donnie at any race. But I would say Donnie, Brian Brown too. He's always good here. If he can, he's going to qualify good. So if he can get through his prelim night well and start towards the front of the feature, he would be tough to beat. I don't know. There's so many. I could make a case for, 15 to 18 guys probably.
I feel like you didn't mention Corey Day. I think Corey.
Oh yeah, Corey Day. He's just a NASCAR guy now. But no, yeah, he's I forget about Corey. But yeah, he'll be good. Again, if he can qualify well and transfer through the heat race, he's kind of a lot like me. If we can just qualify well and then transfer through the heat, we've got a great shot to run good on the prelim night, and then that sets you up well for Saturday. But if you don't qualify all that great and like barely miss it or whatever, if you don't really qualify great and you have to start too far back of the prelim feature, it's tough. But yeah, Corey, I wish Aaron Reitzel and Sunshine could run because they'd be really good as well. Curious how Gio will be in the 7BC. He's really good here at Knoxville. So, I think they'll do a good job. Emerson, I think, will do good in the 18 also. So, yeah, it's, the cream always rises, but there's definitely a lot of guys that could potentially win.
I think the only thing that's really on the front of everybody's mind, and I know Chase and I and Brian will record another one of these next Monday of 410 Nationals week, but it's August. People are in Knoxville. You're a stone's throw away from the Dingus. You and I talked about this, I think during the roulette wheel. We had a hot seat question back at, I can't remember. We talked about this somewhere, and then we got to do the toast up on the stage after your win on Thursday night at Knoxville. Obviously, you're not indulging or consuming when you're competing and you're there for work, but when you're in Knoxville, Iowa, just driving through, having a good old time, what's the order? What's the beverage at the Dingus? What are you sipping on over in 3 and 4? I hear a lot goes on over there. I don't know much about it from a in-person perspective, but say you were to visit Jason Sides' world-famous bar and grill, what are you stirring yourself up in there should you find yourself in that area?
Well, surprisingly, I've grown up. I feel like the last few years, I don't hang out too late anymore. I used to, I mean, gosh, before kids, I mean, we would watch.
I was going to say, it's the kids, man. It's the kids.
Yeah. We would watch the sun come up most days of the week. You'd start at Dingus. Well, you'd have the races, go to Dingus till, closing, which, I mean, I feel like back then was like 3. And then you'd head over to 3 and 4 and party at, Jason Sides'. We've got some great memories over there. Beer pong, flip cup, Jeff Gordon over there playing flip cup, Jason Myers. I didn't even know Jason Myers had a good time. He had his hat backward, flip cup. It was awesome. Great memories over there. But, back then it would be, Captain Diet. Which I haven't had one of those in a while, but if I was wanting to have a big night, I knew I could go to that and, keep track of my consumption and still, get a little foggy. But yeah, Knoxville was fun. Nowadays, with kids, I don't get out. I maybe will go to Dingus like once just for a little bit. We usually try to do, I don't know if it's Tuesday or Wednesday. A group of friends, and your girlfriends and wives and whatnot. We'll go bar hopping through Knoxville. There's actually a lot of bars here, outside of just the Dingus. So we'll, typically we would start have dinner at the Mexican restaurant in the square. Then, what's that downstairs bar? Bottoms Up, maybe? They have beer pong and stuff downstairs. The brewery used to be over there. We'd go to the brewery. And then there's actually a really nice bar, in the square. I can't remember what it's called. It's a really fancy, good liquor, good alcohol, good drinks, some hors d'oeuvres, some snacks that you might need. And then we'll end at Dingus. And then, we're getting old. So then after that, you just kind of go to bed. But, it's fun. I love
it. Is it just probably prime on ice for you these days?
Yeah, it should be for sure. That would actually be I haven't actually had Prime, but I've had Prime. I'm saying it'd be a good mixer.
That's what I was gonna ask was what does Prime go well with? But
I would think some Tito's probably, but I don't know. I'd try it with some tequila maybe, but yeah, lately I feel like I'm a tequila. Brad Sweet has gotten us into tequila the last couple years. Slivers. Little half shots.
Like him.
Well, yeah. And that does sound like a good
drink, guys.
I'm just a Michelob Ultra guy.
I feel like, does Chase even come to Knoxville?
Yes, I do come to Knoxville, but you guys hang out with the Frolic, man. I don't know if I fit in there. I just go to Sides. I go to Sides Bar and Grill, so.
Yeah. Frolic, I feel like, is taken over. I feel like Sides has gotten 3 and 4's kind of died off.
Yeah, it's front stretch time. Now, not much 3 and 4. It's more front stretch.
Yeah, it was just sad. I missed the Sides era being big.
The Frolic traveled all the way to Florence. Kyle, did you know that?
I did. Yeah, I saw that. That was really cool to see. I think they're getting on the bandwagon too of just wing sprint car racing is just better than non-wing. So they're finally on board.
Well, Kyle, thanks for jumping on. Good luck at all of them, and thanks for jumping on the High Limit Room.
Yep, thank you guys.